It was not a full stadium today, but people scream.
Hi, this is King Bucho. Welcome to BDA Boxing, the Boxing Debate Arena. Today, I'm here with Mr. BDA, and we're going to be analyzing an interview done by Fight Hub TV with Lewkowicz. What's his name again, Mr. BDA?
Sampson Lewkowicz.
Sampson Lewkowicz. I call him Lewkowicz because he's crazy.
I want to speak about David. What's the plan with David?
Obviously, they're talking about David Benavidez, the whole controversy about whether he's going to fight Bivol because he's next in line to fight Bivol, but the Sheik wants to make Beterbiev Bivol 3. But they offered, from what I heard, is that the rumor is going around is that they offered Benavidez a fight against Callum Smith as a step aside, and then he would get the winner of Bivol Beterbiev. But as you're going to see, Lewkowicz has other plans.
He will not fight without to be a full title of the WBC. He deserves it. And if Bivol doesn't take the fight, I recommend it to give up the title before April 8th. It's a gentleman.
All right, so he's saying that if they don't want to fight Benavidez immediately, that is Bivol, then this guy's going to suggest to the WBC that they strip Bivol so that they can have the title. And then just play it for the next couple of seconds and then we'll comment on it.
And then we see the future, because the future, you don't know what it be.
So, okay, so did you hear the Butchie says, we're going to ask for them to strip Bivol of the WBC belt so Benavidez can get it. So they strip Bivol, Benavidez gets the belt, and then from there, he says, we're going to see what the future holds, meaning a potential Bivol fight or whatever. But I'm thinking, wait a minute, yeah, obviously the future is uncertain, but the Sheik is offering a little bit more certainty by saying, look, you're going to get paid against Callum Smith generously for a fight that Benavidez should be the favorite in. And then we're telling you, you're going to get the Bivol Beterbiev winner. Doesn't that sound a little bit more certain than let's strip Bivol of the title and then we'll see what happens?
We see what happens. They think they're going to have some leverage just by holding one title. And it seems like they're more interested in just obtaining one title, the title, basically, without fighting the champion. And the people don't care about the belt. They care about the belt. People don't care about Benavidez obtaining a WBC belt. What people want is Benavidez to fight the champion and to get a belt by defeating the champion. Not by, by Benavidez just obtaining the belt like an email belt again.
But you see how they're crafting the narrative that, oh, we want Bivol. We want Bivol. Why are they making Bivol Beterbiev 3, which is actually a very dangerous fight still, as we saw the rematch was very, very close still. So it is a dangerous fight. And this whole narrative of, well, nobody wants to see that fight. I mean, I disagree. There's plenty of fans that want to see it again. Personally, I want to see a fresh fight. I want to see Bivol Benavidez, but that doesn't mean Bivol's docking. And again, this whole Lewkowicz thing of, well, we'll see what the future holds. Haven't we been seeing that for years now? We'll see what the future holds. Remember, they didn't make the planned fight back in, what was it, 2020 or 2021, I want to say. They said, no, we're not ready. And then Caleb Plant ended up taking a loss to Canelo. So these people, and I want to talk about it later on, about the crafting of narratives. But let's keep going with this video, see what's going on.
Like I said before, boxing changes not every day, every minute. I believe that it could be Smith. That is something, but there's many others. But he will fight in September for the full title. So I recommend, not to fight. And if you want to go to a purse meet, we will prepare with PBC.
So this dude saying, Lewkowicz saying, oh, we want the full title in September. We're in April. I don't know if you saw, but they already announced Ioka versus Pumita Martinez for May. So, because they still have about a month and a half to train, or a little bit less than a month and a half. So what I'm trying to illustrate is right now the fights that are being made for May, June. Why are these guys talking about September? They don't have anything. Why can't they make a fight in May or June or July, August? They got to go all the way to September. See, they already know they don't have the infrastructure with the PBC. So they're already talking September. That's the latest, it would seem, that Benavidez can fight out over there.
And by the way, don't they understand that people want to see Bivol and Beterbiev for a third time because the first and second fights were extremely close, and so now there needs to be a conclusion?
They don't seem to get that.
Yeah, they don't seem to get it.
Or maybe they do and they don't care.
Yeah.
That most likely, he will earn the money that he deserves. Because remember, it was agreed with Canelo to fight for $5 million when Canelo making $60 million. And so doesn't care about the money. He cares about his legacy. to be the number one Mexican that doesn't avoid any fights.
So when you heard the
Okay, he's not really. We're not gonna get into that, but
the post that Turkey said he wasn't interested in the fight, what was your reaction to that?
No, first he claimed that he won the best fights. And now, I don't want to say, I want to be clear, I don't want to say two Russians. I want to say two foreigners, two people that America, he won, his own blood to be fighting. And the blood is David Benavidez. And
By not making Benavidez Bivol is we're not saying the best fight the best, but Turbiev Bivol is the best fighting the best. Just so happens it would be for a third time because the first two fights were extremely close. So there has to, in historical terms, a rubber match is there to settle the score, especially since it's 1-1. So I don't understand what he's talking about, how that fight wouldn't be the best versus the best. He's making it seem as if Bivol conclusively beat Beterbiev and we should all move on from that already.
yeah, because Benavidez is the number one contender or something. Okay.
Yeah, and he's been so dominant against Gvozdyk and against Morel, apparently. His eyes.
because already we saw twice the same fight. Under 50,000 people saw that fight. So it's a good fight for the people like us that we love boxing. But for the regular people, doesn't care.
And pause. How many people have watched Benavidez versus Morel and against Caleb Plant and against Android? And by the way, those numbers, I don't know who released those numbers. That they said that the Bivol Beterbiev pay-per-view did 75,000 or something like that. People just hear something and they go along with it. I think that's the theme of this video, is how easily manipulated people are, especially by a guy like this who's constantly contradicting himself and saying things that make no sense. Nobody wants to see this fight. We want to fight Bivol. We want to fight Bivol. No, you want the WBC belt. So like you said, Bucho, so that they think they can use it as some sort of leverage, which they'll probably try to, but.
And they think Benavidez is this superstar? I guess. And since when is the BBC concerned about the crowd and the viewer numbers?
I mean, they certainly didn't seem too concerned with Fundora fighting in an empty stadium this past Saturday.
But that's in America, though. It's different. All right, let's go.
And you see what happened? It was not a full stadium today. But people scream. Beautiful stadium today. And you see what happened? It was not a full stadium today, but people scream. It built the momentum for.
I guess you can say the same thing about Bivol and Beterbiev, right? Under 50,000, he said, or something. I guess they were screaming.
Yeah.
The fighter. In Saudi, everybody's talking, watching the cell phone and talking with each other, and hear nothing. It's like empty heart, and you cannot do that to the fighter.
Nobody.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh my God.
This whole argument too of the crowds. Listen, I enjoy good as an next person. I've said it before. I enjoy the UK crowds and always singing and all that. Yeah, but at the same time, what we've been seeing in a lot of American boxing is half-empty arenas and the fights that we want not getting made. So we're getting the worst of both deals. We're getting empty arenas with no fanfare, no crowds, no atmosphere, and on top of that, it's mundane, subpar fights. So I'd rather have the good fights without the atmosphere. That's a compromise that I can make. That's a compromise I can get behind. Whereas this dude is saying, hey, let's make subpar fights that nobody wants to see with no atmosphere in the U.S. That's what we're getting over there.
Exactly. I don't think he understands. He says he's a great promoter. I don't know what the fuck is. But fans want to see the best fight the best. The rest is inconsequential. It's not that important. You know what I mean? It's the crowd yelling. Sure, I want a crowd that's yelling, but I also want to see the best fight the best. All right.
That is the reason that personally I will never go to Saudi, because the sole reason that I love that screaming and this time.
The video's cutting off for me, man.
Okay, he wouldn't go to Saudi Arabia, he said, because he wants to hear the fans screaming and all of that. Listen, I would go to Saudi Arabia because they are making the fights that I want to see. All right, but this guy thinks differently. For some reason. All right.
Well, that's the thing, which, like you said, everything else is inconsequential. Meanwhile, this dude is holding fights in half-empty arenas because they're for the side fees that he's receiving. He doesn't care if there's a crowd or not. As long as he's receiving his side fees and making the fights and getting his percentage, that's all he cares about. So he can miss us, as they say, with this whole thing about how much he cares about the audience and the fanfare.
I bet the audience starts yelling and he starts crying of happiness.
But he makes the fight that it builds the momentum for the fighter. And Saudi, it builds the momentum for money. Money is not everything in boxing.
I'm sure this guy's not in it for the money. All right.
not about money.
So then, at this point, what needs to happen to, Sampson, to make that fight with Benavidez and Bivol, in your opinion?
No, it will not happen because
You don't think
I don't think so. It will happen. I believe that if he doesn't want the fight Monday, bring the belt back.
Why do you think it won't happen?
Because my understanding, the guy that he bring the money to the plate, he decide that he doesn't want it. You know, so that is the reason.
Are you going to go to Callum Smith then?
But wait a minute. Okay,
No,
so
this
he's
one
talking
was-
about the Sheik, right?
Yeah.
He's referring to the Sheik, the guy who brings the money, doesn't want to fight. He already said, the Sheik, apparently the deal is, again, he prefers to see Bivol Beterbiev the rubber match right now, and then the winner fights Bivol, and they offered Bivol money to fight Callum Smith.
The
So,
winner fights Benavidez.
excuse me, yes, I keep saying like mixing the beast,
The
but
B.
so yeah, so Bivol versus Beterbiev,
Yeah.
the winner of that rubber match faces Benavidez, and Benavidez, they're not just saying wait, they're saying hey, we're gonna offer you another fight, probably for a lot of money since it's for the Sheik, from the Sheik. So it's a fight that would actually receive more money, you would assume, than if it was being held by a sole promoter or another promoter. So it's actually a pretty good deal. The Sheik says he wants to see that fight. In other words, what the Sheik is saying is he wants to see both Beterbiev Bivol 3 and the winner against Benavidez. So he wants those two fights to happen. But Sampson Lewkowicz is making it seem, again, crafting narratives, I know, are my guys being avoided? As if that's somehow going to inflate Benavidez' worth again. Because again, you got to keep in mind, a lot of fans have believed that whole thing about Canelo ducking Benavidez. They're probably going a lot of those guys are still probably going to believe this, but less and less, as we're going to see later when I mention some of these. I've been reading the comment section for this video. People are lambasting Lewkowicz. They're not buying his BS. But anyway, let's keep
And
going.
before we continue, let me just interject here and say that this is the guy that's part of the team that Canelo had to deal with. All right,
Exactly. There you
Let's just let that sink in. All right, Canelo had to deal with this type of people to make that Benavidez, to try and make the Benavidez fight. All right, let's continue.
Possibility, or you say, pero in Las Vegas, T-Mobile, Alap, MGM.
If it does go to purse bid and the purse bid goes to
Butch-
them, then you guys.
He loves the MGM. He loves it. He loves it so much he can't even fill it up. Like they fought in the Mikolov Arena, the Fundora versus Brook or whatever his name was. That dude that he just beat in the past fight Saturday. And I don't even think it was half empty. I think it was 2/3 empty. It was horrendous.
Yeah,
so
there was a
this
few
guy's talking
people-
about he loves them. He loves these arenas. Yeah, he loves them when they're empty. Apparently.
But there was a few people screaming and yelling. That was great. Let's continue.
guys would go to Saudi, right?
What is the reason that you say that?
No, I'm just thinking as to
So
like
you think the PBC it doesn't have the money to pay?
We have the money, okay?
Everybody talking about PBC going out. PBC doesn't go out. This is our home, and we need to come with the money. We will come with the money. Remember that.
okay.
Why is the United States? Why does the United States have to be the PBC's home? If Mel they gave him the Canelo fight, okay, let's go with that. But what have they done for Jermall? What have they done for Carlos Adames, who had the WBC shot at Charlo for years, and they never applied it? Meanwhile, they have to bring up Julian Williams and Terrell Gaucher, two junior middleweights, to fight him, and he's only fighting once a year. Caleb Plant fighting once a year. Stephen Fulton fighting once a year. I mean, we can go on and on about the horrible practices from the PBC ruining their fighter, installing their fighters' careers. And then another guy goes, this old man sounds shady as fuck. So people are starting to wake. This is just scratching the surface, Bucho.
No, yeah, people are waking up to this bullshit. This is, again, who Canelo had to deal with.
Yeah, just keep that in mind.
All right, guys, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, subscribe to our main channel, BDA Boxing, and this channel called BDA Clips. We'll see you next time. Take care.